All right, let's dive in. You ever get that sinking feeling, that sensation that the world isn't quite right, like a cheap suit that looks okay from a distance, but up close the stitching is coming apart and one of the buttons is definitely a Cheerio? It's not that the world is broken, understand? Oh no, that would almost be comforting, because broken things can be fixed, can't they? No, this is something far more intentional. It's built this way from the pyramid base up, but inverted. Imagine a magnificent towering structure. Impressive, isn't it? Gleaming in the sun. Except hang on a minute, it's balanced precariously on its pointy top with a tiny select group of people chilling up there, enjoying the view, sipping champagne probably. While the rest of us, the massive base, are somehow stuck at the bottom holding it all up, wondering why our backs hurt so much. This isn't an accident, it's architecture, folks. This isn't about some grand conspiracy whispered in secret. It's about systems, boring, dull, everyday systems, the kind that make your eyes glaze over. Tax codes, trade agreements, political processes, they're presented as fair as just as sensible. But look closer, peel back a layer or two, and you'll find they're often designed with a tilt, a very specific, very self-serving tilt, towards those already enjoying the penthouse suite of our upside-down societal skyscraper. So the paradox isn't that it's failing, it's that it's succeeding, just not for everyone. It's working exactly as intended for a select few, the ones who drew up the blueprints perhaps, or at least the ones who keep hiring the architects. Our job then isn't to find a missing screw or patch a crack in the foundation. It's to look at the whole damn thing and ask, who decided to build it upside down? And can we, pretty please, flip it over? Now let's talk about democracy. A wonderful word, isn't it? Rolls off the tongue, sounds like freedom, like choice, like everyone gets a say. It's the political equivalent of a locally sourced artisanal label. Makes you feel good, makes you feel involved. But what if our version of democracy is more like one of those all-you-can-eat buffets, where the best dishes are mysteriously all out by the time you get to the front of the line, and you're left with lukewarm coleslaw and regret? Governance, as it's often practiced, isn't genuine people power. It's more like a carefully curated stage play. The script is pre-written, the lead roles pre-cast, and we, the audience, get to choose the color of the curtains sometimes, if we fill out the right forms in triplicate. This illusion of choice is remarkably effective. You get to vote between candidate A, who loves big banks, and candidate B, who loves big banks but also has a nice smile. It's the Pepsi challenge of political disenfranchisement. Thrilling, isn't it? The truth is, modern democracy often feels less like rule by the people and more like rule by people who are very good at convincing the people they're in charge. It's a system where the will of the people can be conveniently ignored if it clashes with the will of, say, a handful of billionaires, or a particularly persuasive lobbyist with a fat checkbook. We hear you, they say, while nodding sympathetically, before doing exactly what they were going to do anyway. It's a masterclass in polite dismissal. So this grand ideal of democracy, this system meant to empower the many, often ends up as a sophisticated mechanism, a mechanism for maintaining the status quo, for ensuring that the inverted pyramid stays well inverted. It's less about genuine representation and more about managing popular consent, making sure we all keep believing that the upside-down world is the only world possible. Spoiler, it's not, but they're trying very hard. How do they keep this whole charade going? Well, a key ingredient is, and let's be generous here, spin. Or if we're being less generous, good old-fashioned deceit. It's the foundation upon which so many societal structures are built. Not necessarily big, dramatic, movie villain lies, though yes, sometimes those too. More often, it's the subtle, pervasive kind of untruth. The carefully crafted narrative, the omitted detail. The nothing to see here, folks, when there's clearly an elephant doing the Macarena in the middle of the room. Think about how information is presented by governments, by corporations, by influential institutions. It's often filtered, massaged and polished, until it shines with a veneer of acceptability. Bad news becomes an unexpected challenge. Exploitation becomes labor market flexibility. A massive screw-up becomes lessons have been learned. It's a language designed not to inform, but to manage perception, to deflect blame, and to keep us from asking too many awkward questions. This isn't just about sparing our delicate feelings. It's a crucial tool for maintaining power. If you can control the story, you can control the people. If you can frame the debate, you dictate the outcome. They tell us wars are for freedom when they're often for resources. They tell us austerity is necessary when it's often a choice that benefits those at the very, very top. It's a constant barrage of narratives that reinforce the idea that this is just how things are, and that any alternative is naive or dangerous or both. So what we get is a society running on a kind of official story, a story that often bears little resemblance to lived reality. For a significant portion of the population, at least, this gap between the narrative and the truth is where cynicism festers, where trust erodes. But it's also where the powerful want us to be, confused, slightly disoriented, and too tired to challenge the script they've handed us. It's deceit as a system, not just an occasional oopsie. And it's remarkably effective, depressingly so. Now, let's talk about protection. Another one of those warm, fuzzy words, like security or public safety. Who doesn't want to be protected, to feel safe? It's a fundamental human need, right up there with Wi-Fi. And governments are always eager to tell us how they're keeping us safe, from terrorists, from criminals, well, sometimes from ourselves. But here's the thing about that comforting embrace of protection. Sometimes it feels less like a hug and more like a boa constrictor. Consider the sheer amount of surveillance in modern life. Cameras on every corner, tracking your online activity. Your phone knows more about you than your own mother, and it's all done in the name of keeping us secure. If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear, they chirp, which is a wonderfully simplistic way of ignoring the fact that privacy is not about hiding bad things. It's about having a space to be yourself, unobserved. A space that is shrinking faster than an ice cap in July, thanks to our ever-watchful protectors. These measures, sold as shields, often double as tools of control. The data collected to prevent crime can also be used to monitor dissent, to track activists, to identify troublemakers. Troublemakers, of course, often being defined as people who ask inconvenient questions about the status quo, or who point out that the emperor is, in fact, butt naked. The same technologies that promise safety can be, and frequently are, weaponized against the populace. It's a neat trick. Get people to trade freedom for security, then redefine security to mean obedience. And it's not just digital, is it? Think about the laws, the regulations, the emergency powers, often rushed through in times of crisis, real or manufactured. With promises they're temporary, just until things calm down. But temporary in government speak often means until we forget we said it was temporary, or until you stop noticing. These expansions of state power once gained are rarely relinquished. They become the new normal. Another layer of control, all wrapped in the comforting blanket of it's for your own good, which, funnily enough, is what you say to a toddler before you make them eat broccoli. Section 5, Trickle-Down Misery. The economics of more for us, crumbs for you. Economics. The dismal science. Or, as it's often practiced, the how to make sure the rich keep getting richer science. We're constantly told about the wonders of the free market, about how wealth created at the top will trickle down like a refreshing shower of prosperity for all, except in reality, it's often less of a shower and more like a leaky faucet, dripping occasionally onto a very select few, while the rest of us are wondering if we should invest in a bigger bucket, or maybe just a really good umbrella for the mist. The concentration of wealth today is staggering. It's not just a little bit skewed, it's cartoonishly lopsided. A handful of individuals own more than billions of people. Think about that. It's like a pizza party where one guy eats 99% of the pizza and then lectures the rest on the importance of sharing crusts. This isn't an accident of capitalism, it's a feature. Systems are in place. Tax loopholes, deregulation, corporate subsidies that actively funnel wealth upwards. It's less trickle down and more hoover up. This isn't just about fairness, though it is profoundly unfair. It's about the systemic exclusion of a vast majority from the prosperity they help create. People work harder, longer hours for stagnant wages, while productivity and profits soar, but only for those at the top. The dignity of work sounds lovely until you realize it often means the dignity of being exploited, and then being told, You should be grateful for the opportunity. It's a system that privatizes profits and socializes losses. Heads they win, tails you lose, every single time. And the narrative they spin is that this is somehow natural, that these wealth creators are special, uniquely gifted, that their obscene fortunes are a just reward for their brilliance, while poverty is a personal failing, a lack of effort. It's a convenient story that ignores the tilted playing field, the inherited advantages, the rigged rules, the fact that it's much easier to make money when you already have a mountain of it to begin with. This economic model isn't just creating inequality, it's cementing it generation after generation. Section 6, Your Voice Matters, Terms and Conditions Apply. So we have this democracy, right? Where every voice is supposedly heard, where dissent is a healthy part of the process. That's the brochure version anyway, the glossy, airbrushed image they want us to buy. But what happens when your voice or your dissent challenges the comfortable consensus of the elite? Well, that's when you discover the terms and conditions. The very, very fine print at the bottom of the social contract, and it turns out your voice matters comes with a few caveats. If you're protesting for, say, lower taxes for billionaires, you might find yourself lauded as a champion of freedom. But if you're protesting for, I don't know, a livable wage, or an end to environmental destruction, suddenly you're a troublemaker, an extremist, a nuisance. The media, often owned by those same elites, will frame you as dangerous, or naive, or just plain weird. Your concerns will be dismissed, your motives questioned. It's amazing how quickly freedom of speech can morph into why don't you just shut up? The system is remarkably adept at silencing dissent. Not always through overt jackbooted oppression, though that happens. More often it's through subtle means. Marginalization, ridicule, co-option. Creating an environment where speaking out feels risky, where challenging the powerful seems futile. They foster echo chambers where their views are amplified, and dissenting voices are either excluded or drowned out. Look, they say, everyone agrees with us, because everyone who has been politely shown the door or muted. This version of democracy, then, isn't really about dynamic debate or the collective shaping of society. It's about maintaining a facade of participation while ensuring that the real decisions are made by a select few behind closed doors. It serves the elite by creating a feedback loop that reinforces their power and their worldview. Dissent is tolerated only as long as it's ineffective. The moment it becomes a genuine threat, the system shows its teeth, and they're surprisingly sharp. Section 7, the hypocrisy gauntlet, where double standards win gold. Right, let's talk hypocrisy. Because if there's one thing our current global systems are truly world-class at, it's hypocrisy. They could win gold medals in it. They'd probably build a special podium just for themselves. Made of irony, naturally, we're told about the importance of rules and laws. Unless, of course, you're rich or powerful enough to consider those rules as mere suggestions. Or, even better, to write the rules yourself. It's like a game where one team gets to move the goalposts and be the referee. Think about international relations. We hear grand speeches about sovereignty and human rights. Usually, right before a country invades another one or props up a friendly dictator, we must uphold the international order, they proclaim. An order that, coincidentally, seems to benefit them immensely. It's rules for thee, but not for me on a global scale. They condemn financial corruption in other nations while their own cities serve as havens for laundered money. It's less a moral stance and more a branding exercise. And what about the democracy we export? We champion it as the only legitimate form of government, except when it produces a result we don't like. Then suddenly it's immature democracy or populist excess, and we might need to guide them back to the right path with sanctions or covert operations or strongly worded statements. The hypocrisy is so blatant, so audacious, you almost have to admire the sheer gall of it. It's like watching a magician who tells you exactly how the trick works and still expects you to be amazed. This relentless double standard isn't just annoying. It breeds deep cynicism and distrust, globally and domestically. When people see that the powerful play by a different set of rules, it erodes faith in the institutions themselves. It makes a mockery of concepts like justice and fairness, because if those in charge don't believe in their own rhetoric, why on earth should anyone else? The hypocrisy isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature, designed to protect the powerful while projecting an image of virtue. It's quite the performance. Section 8, peeking behind the curtain, the aha moment that changes everything. So after all this doom and gloom, this upside-down world and its rigged games, you might be feeling a bit overwhelmed. Like you've just been told Santa isn't real, and also he's been systematically shortchanging you on presents. It's a lot to take in, but here's the crucial part, the tiny, flickering candle in the vast, echoing cavern of systemic bullshit*T. Recognizing these truths, seeing the strings, that's not the end of the story, it's the beginning. The moment you realize the game is rigged, you stop playing by their rules, or at least you start questioning them. That aha moment, that click in your brain when you see the inverted pyramid for what it is incredibly powerful. It's like in The Matrix when Neo sees the code. Suddenly the illusion shatters. You start noticing the patterns, the manipulations, the deceit. The carefully constructed narratives begin to unravel. And that, my friends, is where their power starts to wobble, because their greatest weapon is our unquestioning belief. This awareness isn't about becoming a cynical hermit, shouting at pigeons about the Bilderberg Group. Though tempting, it's about becoming an informed, critical thinker. It's about sharing that awareness, talking to people, pointing out the emperor's new and very invisible clothes. The more people who wake up to the reality of how these systems truly operate, the harder it becomes for the elite to maintain control. Their power relies on our collective ignorance or apathy. Shake off either of those, and the pyramid starts to tremble. Understand that this isn't a call for despair. It's a call for clarity. Seeing the world as it is, not as they portray it, is the first, most vital step towards changing it. It allows us to redirect our energy, not just at the symptoms, the poverty, the injustice, but at the root causes, the systemic design flaws, or more accurately, the systemic design features. This knowledge is empowering. It's the key to unlocking a different kind of future, one where the pyramid perhaps stands the right way up. Section 9, flipping the script towards a world that's actually, fair. Okay, so we've established the world is a bit of a mess, built backwards, run by spreadsheet-wielding Bond villains, with a side of Orwellian surveillance and a dash of Dickensian inequality. It's easy to feel like we're all just hamsters on a diamond-encrusted wheel powering someone else's mega yacht. But here's the ridiculously optimistic part. Yes, really, the very act of understanding this, of naming it, is a form of resistance, a powerful one, because once you see the strings, you can't unsee them. And once enough people see them, well, things can change. Truth and awareness are potent forces. They're like sunlight to vampires, or a well-aimed pie to a pompous face. They disrupt the narrative, they expose the hypocrisy, and they can, believe it or not, start to reverse these power dynamics. It won't be easy, it won't happen overnight. There won't be a single glorious revolution montage set to 80s rock, probably, though that would be cool. Instead, it's about sustained effort, collective action. It's about demanding transparency, accountability, and building alternatives from the ground up. This isn't about finding new leaders to worship. We've tried that. It often ends with new elites. It's about fostering genuine democratic participation, creating systems that are actually responsive to people's needs. Not just the needs of the well-connected and the ultra-rich. It's about reclaiming the idea of the common good. Radical, I know. Almost as radical as expecting your elected officials to, represent you. It means supporting independent media, educating ourselves, and crucially not giving in to cynicism or despair. So yes, the pyramid is inverted for now, but pyramids, even inverted ones, are built by many hands, and they can be unbuilt or rebuilt by many hands. The hope lies in our collective capacity to recognize these truths, to share them and to act on them, to demand a world that isn't a punchline, a world where justice and democracy aren't just words in a history book or a politician's speech, but lived realities for everyone. It's a long shot, sure. But what else are we going to do? Watch more cat videos? Well, yes, but also this.